Chapter 51 Awkward Confession. You are listening at NovelsThe. Han Shui ignored these two people, opened the ring box in his hand, revealed the silver ring inside, and said affectionately, "Yuting, this is the ring I made for you myself. Although it is not very valuable, but it represents my whole heart." Laugh. Huang Xiaoli was the first to show disdain. Han Shui, today is Yuting's birthday, are you too stingy? It's just such a silver ring, which only costs a few dozen yuan at most, so I have the nerve to give it as a gift. Tao Wei said, I'm still waiting to see the big diamond ring. I didn't expect you to be so stingy as to get such a thing to fool Yuting. Yi Bufan's eyes have been focused on Shi Yuting. He wants to see how this woman treats this matter. If she is really a powerful woman like Zhu Linlin, he will persuade his brother to give up from now on. Okay, everyone, stop talking. The value of the birthday gift has nothing to do with it. No matter what, it is Han Shui's intention. Shi Yuting spoke very sincerely, without any pretense, and her eyes were very clear. She reached out and took the ring and put it on her hand, then he raised his hand and smiled sweetly at Han Shui, "Thank you for the birthday gift you personally made for me." Looking at the goddess's smile, Han Shui was almost out of his mind. He nodded quickly and said, "You're welcome. You're welcome. This is what I should do. You just like it." Seeing that Shi Yuting did not show any disgust, Tao Wei was obviously extremely disappointed. He snorted coldly, took an exquisite box from the side and said, "Yuting, look at the birthday gift I prepared for you." Huang Xiaoli said, "The gift that young Master Tao brought out must be extraordinary, and it will definitely not be the worthless junk that some people do." Shi Yuting frowned and said, "Xiaoli, don't talk like that. The gift is just a thought, and it has nothing to do with whether it's worth the money or not." "Yuting is right, now I'll let you see what I think." Tao Wei said as he opened the box, took out an extremely delicate globe and presented it to Shi Yuting. Everyone was stunned. They didn't expect that his birthday gift turned out to be a globe, but soon Huang Xiaoli's eyes suddenly lit up. "Oh my god, this is actually a pure gold globe. Are there diamonds inlaid on it?" That she held the globe in her hands first, examined it carefully and exclaimed, "These are really diamonds, and each one is less than 1 carat. Today is Yuting, this chapter is not finished, please turn the page, for my 20th birthday, I set 20 diamonds on it." Tao Wei looked at Shi Yuting and said proudly, "Yuting, this globe is made of pure gold. It's not to show off how rich I am, but it means that my heart for you is truer than gold, forever. Nothing will change." Yi Bufan sighed in his heart. In comparison, this guy has much more experience in picking up girls than Han Shui. It seems that his brother's situation is not very optimistic today. Huang Xiaoli asked cooperatively, "What about this globe? Does it have any special meaning?" "Of course, the globe marks the whole world, and Yuting is my whole world." Tao Wei looked at Shi Yuting affectionately and said, "Yuting, I am sincere to you, can you be my girlfriend?" Yi Bufan frowned. This guy really put a lot of thought into his gift. It was both valuable and showed his heart. He even saw the touch in Shi Yuting's eyes. Han Shui next to him seemed to realize that something was wrong, and looked very nervous, fearing that Shi Yuting would agree to Tao Wei directly. "Looks like I have to help my good brother." Yi Bufan flicked his finger, and a ray of finger wind disappeared silently into Tao Wei's lower abdomen. At this moment, everyone was immersed in the atmosphere carefully created by Tao Wei. The entire private room was silent. Everyone's eyes were focused on Shi Yuting, looking forward to her answer. Shi Yuting was a little hesitant. From the bottom of her heart, she didn't feel very good about Tao Wei, but today's birthday gift was so ingenious that she was very touched. She wanted to refuse but couldn't bear it. Puff. Just as she was hesitating, a loud fart sound suddenly sounded in the room. In this quiet situation, the fart looked particularly weird, and everyone could hear it very clearly, and it was easy to find the source of the fart, which was Tao Wei with a loving look on his face. Well. At this moment, everyone's faces were filled with embarrassment. Not only Tao Wei blushed, but even Shi Yuding was extremely embarrassed. Only Han Shui next to him almost didn't laugh out loud. This guy was so embarrassed that he did such a shameful thing at such a critical time. Tao Wei also hated himself, but the fart just now came too suddenly and violently, and he couldn't control it no matter what. In the end, my efforts not only failed to control it, but instead made the farting noise worse. He was filled with doubts. This chapter is not finished, please turn the page. Why did he suddenly fart when he obviously didn't eat anything that was difficult to digest? Fortunately, Yang Su has a flexible mind and reacts quickly. He said jokingly, Xiao Wei, even if you like Yuding, you won't be so nervous. Tao Wei hurriedly got off the slope and said, Yuding, I'm sorry, this is my first time to express my love to a girl so solemnly, I'm really too nervous. I say it again, you are mine. Originally, he wanted to say that you are my world, to save the embarrassing situation just now, but at this moment, there was another violent bulging in his lower abdomen. This time it was even more violent than the last time, and it was simply unstoppable. Puff puff. This time the fart sound was louder than last time, and there were 3 in a row. This time, the entire private room became even more embarrassed. Shi Yuding's face became very ugly. Tao Wei's fart just happened to be too coincidental, and when combined with what he said, it became that she was his fart. Han Shui couldn't control it anymore, burst out laughing, and said to Tao Wei, Young Master Tao, can you show some integrity? It is very unethical to fart continuously at this time. Tao Wei wanted to find a place to hide at this time. His old face was as embarrassed as a monkey's, but he couldn't understand why he farted at this time, and the fart was so willful that he couldn't control it at all. He shouted angrily, You. But before the words came out of his mouth, 7 or 8 loud farts were released one after another. Not only was the sound loud this time, but the smell was also strong. After about 10 farts came out in succession, although the space in the box was large, it was already filled with a pungent smell. Han Shui shouted, I'm going to strangle you, why don't you let me live? People say that a stinky fart doesn't stink if it doesn't make a sound. Your fart, Tao Dao, is really loud and smelly. It's really admirable. He stepped forward and took Shi Yuding's hand. Let's go out and hide quickly, otherwise we will faint here later. Shi Yuding originally thought this was a bit impolite, but the smell was too exciting and she couldn't bear it. She could only follow Han Shui and Yi Bufan out of the private room and go outside to breathe fresh air. Huang Xiaoli originally wanted to please Tao Wei, but at first she wanted to stay in the private room, share the joys and sorrows with him, and win a good impression. But after only 10 seconds, she couldn't bear it anymore and hurriedly ran out of the private room. Chapter 52, Troubled Disasters. You are listening at NovelsThe. Niu Haotian and Yang Su, look at me, I look at you. They were originally here to help Tao Wei, and they were supposed to persevere to the end, but the smell was so stinky that it was unbearable. The most important thing is that the back of Tao Wei's butt is still making noises one after another, and new gas is constantly excreted outside. After a brief persistence, the two of them could no longer care about their appearance and hurried out of the private room. Only Tao Wei was left standing there awkwardly in the huge room. To this day, he still doesn't understand what happened. His carefully planned confession and the custom-made birthday gift he spent 500,000 yuan ended up being defeated by nothing. After everyone else left, he couldn't stay here any longer. If he stayed a little longer, he might be fumed by his own farts, and he would be even more embarrassed by then. In desperation, he first opened all the windows and ventilation fans in the private room, and then retreated outside the door. Fortunately, the gas in his stomach was almost gone, and no new force joined, which reduced further embarrassment. At this time, a waiter happened to pass by the door of the private room. Seeing several people standing outside, he asked in surprise, Gentlemen and ladies, why don't you enter the private room? Did something happen? Tao Weijing was full of anger and had nowhere to vent, and said angrily, Go away, I am willing to stay outside, what does it have to do with you? Sorry, the waiter left with a stunned look on his face. When he passed the door of the private room, his expression suddenly changed, then he reached out to cover his nose and ran away in a hurry. He simply suspected that the guest just now had done something unspeakable in the room, which was why he was so angry. After a while, the stench in the room was finally gone, and everyone returned to the private room, but the window was kept open. After entering the door, the atmosphere in the room was a bit awkward, and no one mentioned the birthday gift again. In order to ease the awkward atmosphere, Niu Haotian said, "Everyone, today is to celebrate Miss Yuding's birthday, and everyone must continue to be happy." Yang Su said, "That's right. Let's sing a song to express our blessings to Miss Yuding." Yi Bufan poked Han Shui, "Second brother, why don't you hurry up and show off?" Han Shui said with a bitter face, "Don't you know how I sing? Everyone else is 5, this chapter is not finished, please turn the page." "I'm tone deaf, I don't have any of it, it would be embarrassing to go up there, so it would be better not to go." Huang Xiaoli said flatteringly, "When it comes to singing, no one can beat our young master Tao. He was the former karaoke champion of Jiangnan University and a well-deserved king of singers. Now I would like to invite young master Tao to sing a song for everyone." When talking about singing, Tao Wei seemed to get over the embarrassment in an instant and regained his confidence. Although he is a dandy, he has received an aristocratic education since he was a child, and he can be said to be versatile, especially in terms of music. If you have a little bit of talent, coupled with the training you get, your singing will indeed be much better than ordinary people. He took the microphone and said to Shi Yuding again, "Yuding, I have prepared this song for you. For a long time and practice it every day just to sing it to you on your birthday. I want to tell you, you are my rose, you are my flower." As the music started to sound, he sang into the microphone, "When a flower blooms, there is a flower of love. Among all the flowers in the mountain, you are the only one I cherish." To be honest, Tao Wei's singing is really good. Although he is not as good as professional singers, he is definitely the best among ordinary people. Han Shui looked frustrated. Although his family was also rich, his father was a very traditional-minded person and wanted him to go to college. "Since childhood, I have had exam-oriented education, and I have only studied mathematics, physics, and chemistry. I have never been exposed to art. In addition, I have no talent in this area. Now I can only watch my love rival show off on the stage." Yi Bufan saw all this in his eyes. Now that he was here, he couldn't watch his good brother being suppressed by the other party. Besides, Tao Wei is obviously a playboy, and it would be a pity if such a good girl as Shi Yuding really falls into his hands. Tao Wei sang more and more energetically, and the more he sang, the more coquettish he became. Yang Su, Niu Haotian, and Huang Xiaoli took turns applauding him, which made him even more proud, as if he had regained all the face he had just lost. "You are mine." But what he didn't expect was that as soon as he sang the first part of the song, before he could say the word rose, a sudden burst of air spurted out of his throat, and he actually burped. Then the rhythm of the song completely changed. "You are mine, you are mine, The hiccups came one after another, making him unable to. "This chapter is not finished, please turn the page." Can't sing anymore. Tao Wei was almost going crazy. What on earth is going on? Didn't you look at the solar calendar when you went out today? Why do bad things happen one after another? I just wanted to show off in front of Shi Yuding so that I could get that woman into bed. Why were there so many twists and turns? Can you still let people pick up girls? The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. Finally, he slammed the microphone in his hand to the ground. "TMD, I won't sing anymore." Huang Xiaoli hurriedly stepped forward to comfort her. "Young Master Tao, there's no need to be angry, you must be feeling unwell today, it's no big deal. Do you think this will work? There is a piano over there. The piano music I saw you play last time was simply heavenly. Can you play another one for us all?" Niu Haotian then persuaded, "Yes, Xiao Wei, you are versatile, why limit yourself to one song? It's not bad to play a song, and you can also offer your blessings to Yuding." After hearing what the two people said, Tao Wei felt much better and walked towards the piano next to him. Yi Weiyang KTV originally took a high-end route, and they booked a platinum private room with a minimum purchase of 10,000. There was indeed a nice piano in the room. Tao Wei once passed the piano level 10 exam, and he was full of confidence. He opened the cover of the piano, sat on the chair and started playing, and Niu Haotian came to Shi Yuding and said, "Miss Shi, you see my brother is really versatile. Although he is a little out of shape today, he can pick up anything. He plays the piano so well, that just when he wanted to say a few nice words for Tao Wei, suddenly the sound of the piano became chaotic, and there was a burst of noise, which completely messed up the tune just now. The expressions of other people in the room changed. They didn't know what was going on. They were having a good conversation just now, so why did it suddenly become chaotic? Tao Wei was also confused. He was just about to show off when he suddenly felt numbness on the left side of his body. It was like hemiplegia. The left hand and left foot have lost their normal flexibility, so naturally they cannot play the piano, and the tones they produce are even worse than playing cotton. Asshole, that he punched the piano, feeling so angry that his lungs were about to explode. Why did his body always have problems at critical moments? Is this a miracle or a disaster? Chapter 53, Teach You What It Means to Play the Piano. You are listening at NovelsThe. At this time, Han Shui burst into laughter. Is this also called playing the piano? This is the first time I have heard such rubbish piano music. Are you playing Beethoven or Mozart? That if they hear this, I'm afraid the coffin boards won't be able to hold it down, and they will have to crawl out and fight you desperately. Feeling the sarcastic looks from around him, Tao Wei said angrily, "Why are you laughing? What's so funny? If you can, play it for me. That if you can't do it yourself, what right do you have to laugh at others?" This. The smile on Han Shui's face was a little stagnant. Now he really wanted to go up and play a song and hit the other person in the face hard, but it was a pity that he was an idiot in music and had never even touched the piano before. Seeing his expression, Tao Wei felt a little more comfortable, and said arrogantly again, "You two poor bastards, I don't look down on you. Have you ever touched a piano? Do you know what piano music is? Do you know how many keys a piano has? You dare to stand up and laugh at others when you are nothing. If you have the ability, you can play a song for me. As long as you play a complete song, I will lose." This time, even Bufan was targeted. In his opinion, such poor people had no chance to learn piano, let alone surpass himself in attainments. Others also think so. Pianos are definitely for the rich. Let's not talk about the price of buying a piano, which is unaffordable for ordinary families. Let's talk about the cost of later learning. A lesson costs hundreds or even thousands of yuan. Ordinary people simply cannot bear it. Since you said so, I will teach you what it means to play the piano. To everyone's surprise, Bufan actually walked towards Na Qin. He is here to help his brother today, and he must not be suppressed by the other party's arrogance at the critical moment. But Han Shui grabbed him and whispered, "Lao San, can you do it?" It's embarrassing to be impulsive at this time. Although he and Bufan lived in the same dormitory for 3 years, during this period Bufan spent all his spare time working, but he had never seen him play the piano. Bufan said, "Don't worry, even though I'm not very good at playing the piano, I'm still dozens of times better than him." This is not a big lie. When he was in high school, he showed sufficient talent in piano and was hailed as a musical genius by the old principal at the time. This chapter is not finished, please turn the page. Whenever he had spare time, he would take him to practice on the dilapidated old piano in school. During the college entrance examination, Bufan's piano level reached at least level 10. According to the wishes of the old principal, he should apply for the China Central Conservatory of Music. Unfortunately, the tuition fees for music schools were prohibitively expensive. Considering his family's situation, he finally gave up. Because of this incident, the old principal was depressed for a long time. Bufan, who originally had a solid foundation, later received the inheritance of ancient medicine, including music. Although there was no piano in ancient times, after reaching a higher level, the perception of music and rhythm was the same, and the inheritance still benefited him a lot. At this time, Bufan's musical attainments far exceeded those of ordinary pianists and had reached the world's top level. He walked straight to the piano and said to Tao Wei next to him, "I'm not competing with you, but I want you to see what real piano playing is." Then he sat down at the piano and started playing. "Pretend you can play." Tao Wei stood nearby and was about to make a sarcastic comment, but was stunned by a burst of melodious music. Is this Beethoven's Symphony No. 2? This song tells an attitude towards life, high-spirited and free of melancholy and haze. What people feel is more of a celebration of life. The sound of music flowed out like spring water. Bufan sat in front of the piano with a calm expression, and his hands quickly played on the keys like butterflies in the wind. "Oh my God, this sounds so good," Yuding opened her mouth in surprise. Her family was in good condition. She had learned piano since she was a child, and her grades were quite good. At this moment, she was completely shocked by Bufan's piano sound. She originally thought that Han Shui brought just an ordinary person, but she didn't expect that he was a piano master. Her extraordinary accomplishments at the piano are several times higher than those of her teacher, and can be compared with the pianists on TV. Han Shui knew nothing about music, but he could tell from the expressions of others that his brother performed well and even calmed the audience. This made him extremely excited. It seemed that he had found the right person to call Bufan to help him today. When, following the beautiful melody, the entire private room fell silent, and everyone was serious. This chapter is not finished, please turn the page. Listening, as if afraid of missing every note. In the melodious music, everyone seemed to feel the true meaning of life. After the song was played, a pin drop could be heard in the entire private room, and everyone stood still on the spot. After a brief silence, Yuding took the lead in applauding. "It sounds great, it sounds so good." She took 2 steps forward and said to Bufan excitedly, "My classmate, can you play another piece of music for me? You play it so beautifully." Han Shui asked stupidly, "Yuding, does my brother play well?" Yuding said without hesitation, "Of course, even an international piano master is just like this." "Boy, I didn't expect you to hide it deep enough." Han Shui punched Bufan on the shoulder, and then said, "If you have this ability, why don't you play a song for your sister-in-law as soon as possible?" At this time, Yuding had a look of longing on her face and didn't pay attention to what the other party called her. As a level 10 piano player, Tao Wei naturally knew what level Bufan had reached in the piece he just played, but he couldn't give in easily and said coldly, "What's the point of playing such a soft piece? If you have the ability to play it, a fast-paced one." In his opinion, Bufan must have practiced this piece of music frequently to be able to play it to this level, and he would not be able to play it in a different style. Bufan ignored him and said to Yuding, "Since my sister-in-law likes to listen, I will play Flight of the Bumblebee by Korsakov." Yuding's expression changed and she said, "You don't have to listen to Tao Wei, you can talk about whatever you want." Bufan smiled slightly, "It's okay, I happen to like fast-paced music too." Han Shui asked with some confusion, "Yuding, what is Flight of the Bumblebee? Is this song special?" Yuding said, "Among the top 10 most difficult piano pieces in the world, Flight of the Bumblebee ranks 3rd. In terms of rhythm and speed, it is faster than the top 2. Are you so awesome? Third brother, are you good at it?" After Han Shui finished speaking, Bufan didn't say anything and started beating his hands directly on the keys. However, the playing speed this time was countless times faster than before. The 10 fingers fell on the keys like raindrops, and the air in the entire private room seemed to be ignited by this dense melody. Chapter 54 The Little Piano Prince. You are listening at NovelsThe. This time, the playing style changed from the soft and gentle style just now, and the speed was accelerated to the extreme, giving people an extremely strong sense of power. A series of explosions made everyone's blood boil. "Oh my God, what kind of music is this? Why is it so hot? It's so exciting." Even though Han Shui was an outsider, he was still inspired by the explosive music. Yuding was recording the video with her mobile phone, but after hearing Bufan's playing, she was so excited that her hands trembled slightly. "This kid really dares to play Flight of the Bumblebee." Tao Wei was shocked at first, and then a sneer appeared on his face. Anyone who has studied piano knows the majesty of this piece, and it is not something that ordinary people can play casually. Even the most famous piano master in the world today dare not perform such a piece in public, because it is so difficult to master, and if you are not careful, you will mess it up and bring humiliation to yourself. I can only play it while practicing secretly to feel the power of this piece. Now Bufan actually plays Flight of the Bumblebee in public, which is considered suicide in the eyes of professionals. "Boy, after all, you are a poor bastard with no experience at all. You really think of yourself as a world piano master. I wonder how you can stand here with dignity if you make a fool of yourself later. A look of pleasure appeared on Tao Wei's face, as if he had seen Yi Bufan lose control. Yi Bufan, who was in front of the piano, didn't care what others thought. His hand speed was getting faster and faster, reaching an incredible level. Yuding looked at the scene on the phone screen, her mouth wide open in surprise, and her eyeballs almost bulged out of their sockets. I saw that Yi Bufan's hands had turned into shadows, and it was impossible to see clearly what was happening on the piano keys. Too fast. It's so fast. This is simply not a speed that humans can achieve. Although Huang Xiaoli, Niu Haotian, Yang Su and others looked down on Yi Bufan, they were all shocked by his hand speed and the explosive notes he played. Extreme speed, extreme music. As Yi Bufan played, several people in the room almost held their breath, as if their adrenaline was burning during the playing. Generally speaking, even if someone dares to play this piece of music, the tempo must be slowed down by a few beats, but Yi Bufan did not slow down at all. On the contrary, he played it faster than anyone before. At this moment, there is a buzzing sound above everyone's head and in their ears. This chapter is not finished, please turn the page. The sound made a scene of swarms of bees dancing in front of me. Yi Bufan's speed became faster and faster, and his two hands almost turned into afterimages. It was obviously one pair of hands playing, but it seemed that there were countless hands beating on the keys. What's surprising is that such fast speed is only reflected in his hands, but his body is as straight as a loose body, and he sits there as stable as a mountain. His whole body exuded an aura of elegance and stability, but his hands were indescribably fast and violent. Although Yuding was recording the video with her mobile phone, she did not dare to move her eyes for fear of missing the most exciting and perfect performance in her life. Yang Su was originally smoking, but at this moment he forgot about the cigarette but in his hand until it burned his fingers. Yi Bufan's heart was also filled with a hearty feeling. He had fully demonstrated the music inherited by the ancient medical school on this piano. Adrenaline is soaring and hand speed is exploding. The piano seemed to be trembling slightly, unable to withstand such a rapid load and about to fall apart. Finally, he reached the extreme speed of today's playing, reaching the highest peak. As the last note exploded on the keys, everything in the room returned to calm. Tao Wei, who was originally waiting for Yi Bufan to make a fool of himself, stood there like a puppet. He was completely dumbfounded. Only then did he realize how big the gap was between him and others in terms of piano. It was simply incomparable, or even incomparable. They were not on the same level at all. There was a difference of more than 10 streets. Yi Bufan stood up and sighed secretly. No wonder this piece of music is so difficult. It not only requires people to have a spiritual level of musical attainment, but also requires good physical strength. It can be said that playing this piece of music is a complete physical effort, and only a warrior like myself can achieve the freedom and ease with his body, and can use the speed to this extent. He turned around and said to Han Shui, "Give me a cigarette." Oh. At this time, Han Shui was still in a semi-sluggish state. He even forgot that Yi Bufan didn't smoke at all. He took out a cigarette from his pocket and threw it away with a dull expression. Yi Bufan took the cigarette, opened the lid of the piano, and gently rubbed the cigarette on the steel structure of the piano. He heard a pop and the cigarette was quickly lit. The people next to me had not yet recovered from the shock. At this time, the shock in their hearts was getting higher and higher. They could actually light cigarettes with the piano. What kind of operation is this? Many components in the piano's internal structure are made of steel, which will generate a lot of heat under extremely rapid friction. This chapter is not finished. Please turn the page. That if you play too fast and the heat builds up to a certain level, the paper will ignite if you get close to it. This is a truth that many people have heard, but no one has ever thought that someone actually plays the piano and then lights the cigarette. Yi Bufan didn't smoke originally. All he did was to bring his performance to a successful conclusion. At this time, he took a gentle puff and then blew out a smoke ring in a very cool and unrestrained manner. Throwing away the cigarette in his hand, he found that everyone was dumbfounded, and Yuding looked at him with bright eyes. "Let me tell you, am I a little too big? Today I am here to help my good brothers. You can't put all the halo around yourself." Yi Bufan secretly regretted it. he would have known better to keep a low profile. At this time, Yuding came back to her senses and shouted excitedly, "Perfect! It's so perfect! I'm going to post it online so everyone can see the most perfect performance in the world." As she spoke, she controlled her phone with trembling hands and posted the video she had just recorded online. Bufan didn't stop him. Anyway, Yuding didn't record his frontal view just now, and the lights in the private room were dim. Even if it was sent out, no one would know it was him, but he didn't expect that this short video would be like a bomb, causing an uproar on the internet. In a Western restaurant, Qin Chu was sitting and eating with two beautiful girls, her best friends in Yimo and Chao Xiaowan. Chao Xiaowan looked at Qin Chu who was stunned and said, Chu, what are you thinking about? You are so distracted. No. Qin Chu shook his head as he spoke, feeling annoyed in his heart. The annoying guy appeared in his mind whenever he had something to do these days. At this moment, Yimo, who was scrolling through his cell phone boredly, suddenly screamed, "Look, my prince has appeared. What's all the fuss about? Are you thinking the prince is crazy?" Qin Chu complained and focused her gaze together. When she saw the scene on the screen clearly, she was dumbfounded. It was too fast, and the man played so fast that his hands became phantoms, and Yimo shouted excitedly, "Wonderful, really wonderful, this is my little piano prince." Chao Xiaowan said, "It's fake. It must be fake. How can a normal person be so fast? It must have been made with computer special effects. The purpose is to deceive silly women like you who think about the prince all day long." Chapter 55 Birthday Cake. You are listening at NovelsThe. And Yimo shouted excitedly, "Xiaowan, you don't understand piano, so you can't tell. This video is absolutely real. Every move he makes perfectly matches the notes. The special effects can never do this kind of effect." At this time, the video of a few minutes was played. Seeing Bufan smoking at the end, and Yimo even screamed, "So handsome. So handsome. Although I hate men smoking, my little prince is an exception." He Shuang was lying on the bed, scrolling through short videos on his phone. He was stunned when he saw the video, and was deeply shocked by the godlike performance. Who is this person? Why does it look so similar to that person's back? Then she shook her head again. It couldn't be him, he already has such high attainments in medicine, mysticism and martial arts. It is impossible for him to play the piano so well. After all, God is fair, how can he make a person so perfect? In less than an hour, Bufan's magical performance quickly dominated the headlines on major websites, causing screams one after another from all corners of the world. Those innocent girls call him the little piano prince, while the professionals call him the ghost piano king, but no one knows his true identity. In the private room, the birthday party is still going on. Tao Wei stood there with a dull expression. Bufan's performance really hit him hard in the face. Niu Haotian didn't understand music, but he was relatively calm. He said, "Today is Yuting's birthday. Let's eat the birthday cake. I'm a little hungry." Turning around, he said to Tao Wei, "Xiao Wei, here is the cake you prepared for Yuting, hurry up and bring it up." "Oh. Come right away." Tao Wei woke up from the shock, opened the door and called the waiter, and soon a huge birthday cake was pushed in. This cake has a total of 6 layers, and the entire workmanship is very beautiful, perfect like a work of art. Seeing this luxurious cake, Han Shui became a little nervous again. If he didn't hide his identity as a rich second generation, he could give Yuding a luxurious birthday. He was a little hesitant now. He had been suppressed by Tao Wei since he entered the private room, and he didn't know whether his way of hiding his identity was right or wrong. Huang Xiaoli shouted, "What a beautiful cake." Tao Wei took the cart from the waiter and said, "Yuding, this is the birthday cake I specially customized for you. The 6 layers symbolize the 6 and 6 fortunes. This chapter is not finished, please turn the page. I wish you all the best in your future life and career." Yang Su cooperated and said, "Xiao Wei, where did you order this cake? Didn't you spend less?" Tao Wei said, "This cake needs to be reserved 1 month in advance. It is made by a top pastry master and the price is 8,880. Today is Yuding's birthday, so spending a little money is nothing. When it came to money, his mood finally improved a lot. No matter how outstanding the other party's performance was, after all, there was nothing in this world that money couldn't do without his own money. Thinking of this, he picked up the candle on the cart and said, "Yuding, let me help you put the candle in place, and then let's blow the candle and make a wish." After saying that, he walked towards the cake with the candle, but at this moment, his knees suddenly weakened, and he rushed forward, diving into the 6-layer cake. He fell so suddenly and violently that the whole cake was smashed into a ball of mud, and Tao Wei's upper body was buried in the cake. At the same time, countless cream splashed everywhere, and several people standing next to the cake were splashed all over. The worst thing was Huang Xiaoli. Her clothes today were extremely revealing, and her exposed skin was splashed with cream after cream, especially the two high and protruding parts on the chest. After being stained with large amounts of white cream, the scene looks extremely weird and a bit mind-boggling. No one expected this to happen. Niu Haotian and Yang Su hurriedly helped Tao Wei up. At this time, Tao Wei's body was covered with cake cream, like Santa Claus, and he couldn't even open his eyes. The two of them had no choice but to take him out of the private room and take him to the bathroom to rinse. Shi Yuding helped Huang Xiaoli wipe the cream on her body with a paper towel, and finally went to the bathroom. Seeing the embarrassed looks of several people, Han Shui laughed. He and Yi Bufan were still clean because they were far away from the cake. He said, "Third brother, you really laughed me to death. That guy must have had bad luck today because he fell into the cake." Yi Bufan smiled slightly. He knew exactly what happened, but there are some things that you just need to know. There is no need to say them. Shi Yuding and Huang Xiaoli cleaned in the bathroom for a long time before finally walking out wet. How could this happen? What day is it today? Why is it so unlucky? It's true that young Master Tao fell down. It's such a pity that such a good person fell down. This chapter is not finished. Please turn the page. Cake. Huang Xiaoli kept chattering, completely forgetting that today is Shi Yuding's birthday. At this moment, a short middle-aged man walked out of the men's room. The hair in the middle of his head had fallen out, and he had a standard Mediterranean hairstyle with hair in a circle and bald in the middle. This guy was already drunk. When he saw the scantily clad Huang Xiaoli, his eyes suddenly lit up. He stepped forward and slapped her on the butt. "Little girl, how much does it cost for one night? I'll pay for you tonight." Huang Xiaoli was very angry when she was suddenly slapped on the butt and treated as a prostitute. She immediately slapped Mediterranean Sea on the face. "You bastard, you are the one who is here to sell, your whole family is here to sell." Mediterranean didn't expect that Huang Xiaoli would dare to attack him, and shouted angrily, "You bitch, you are not selling anything like this, and you dare to hit me, I have to kill you." After saying that, she rushed towards Huang Xiaoli and was about to attack Huang Xiaoli. Shi Yuding wanted to stop her, but how could she be the grown man's opponent? She was pushed aside by Mediterranean. Mediterranean grabbed Huang Xiaoli's hair and slapped her with two big mouths one after another. "Smelly bitch, I made you a bitch and you still want to build a memorial arch. Help, young Master Tao, help me quickly." Huang Xiaoli was stunned and screamed desperately. In the bathroom, Tao Wei and Niu Haotian had just washed the cakes and cream off their bodies, and rushed out when they heard the shouts outside. Everything went wrong for Tao Wei today. He was already full of anger. When he saw someone dared to attack Huang Xiaoli, he immediately rushed forward and punched Mediterranean Sea in the face. Seeing that he was taking action, Niu Haotian and Yang Su were not polite and kicked Mediterranean to the ground. Punching and kicking him, Huang Xiaoli straightened her messy hair and cursed, "Beat him to death. This bastard dares to take advantage of me." After saying that, she rushed up to Mediterranean Sea and kicked her twice hard in the stomach. "Okay, stop fighting." Shi Yuding didn't want to make the matter a big deal, so she hurried forward and pulled everyone away. Mediterranean got up from the ground, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and shouted to these people, "If you dare to hit me, just wait for me." Hearing that the other party had a foreign accent, Yang Su said disdainfully, "What's wrong with hitting you? My name is Yang Su. If you have the ability, come to the Platinum private room to find us." Chapter 56 Ma Jiuye. You are listening at NovelsThe. Boy, just wait for me if you want. After Mediterranean finished speaking, he hurriedly walked towards the other side of the corridor. Yang Su said disdainfully, if a foreigner dares to be arrogant with me, I will beat you every time I see you. At this time, Bufan and Han Shui heard the noise and walked out of the private room and said to Shi Yuding, are you okay? Tao Wei said with a proud look on his face, what can happen if I protect you, Ting? It's not like some people who hide in private rooms and dare not come out when something happens. Niu Haotian then said, yes, Yu Ting, as long as you are with Xiao Wei from now on, there will be nothing that he can't deal with in Jiangnan. Huang Xiaoli said, young Master Tao, young Master Yang, thank you for your help, especially young Master Yang, you were so handsome just now. As she said this, she bowed slightly to Yang Su as if thanking her. When she bent down, she did not hide the beauty of her neckline at all. She was already wearing revealing clothes, so the meaning of this was extremely obvious. It's okay. Men should protect women. Yang Su said and patted her smooth shoulder. Although he didn't take this promiscuous woman seriously, it was still okay to have a one-night stand. Having just beaten the middle-aged man, Shi Yuding said worriedly, how about we stop here today and leave quickly? Tao Wei said, how about that? Today is your birthday party. It has just started and you haven't had enough fun yet. You must have fun before you can leave. His original plan was to get Shi Yuding drunk tonight and then capture her in one fell swoop, Shi Yuding said, but, I'm afraid that person will come back and cause trouble for us. Niu Haotian said, what are you afraid of? As I said just now, there is nothing Xiao Wei can't handle in Jiangnan City. No matter what happens, you just need to leave it to him. Tao Wei also said with a proud look on his face, Yuding, don't worry, in the worst case I'll ask my dad to call Master Ma Jiuye, and everything will be settled by then. Yang Su said with a haughty look, he's just a foreigner. There's nothing to worry about. If he dares to come again, we three brothers will kill him directly. Since no one cared, Shi Yuding couldn't say anything, and everyone returned to the private room together. Han Shui and Bufan sat together and said with some annoyance, it's all because it's too noisy here. We were too slow to go out just now, otherwise we wouldn't have given that little hero a chance to save the beauty. This chapter is not finished, please turn the page. A sneer appeared at the corner of Bufan's mouth, don't worry, this matter is not that simple, maybe there will be something good to watch later. He has extraordinary eyesight, and he could see clearly just now that the man with Mediterranean hair entered the most luxurious private room in this KTV. Anyone who can access the supreme private room here, whether they are locals or outsiders, must have a very strong background, and this matter will definitely not be forgotten. Han Shui said a little confused, Lao San, what do you mean by this? Bufan said, don't worry, just wait and see. Mediterranean returned to the supreme private room angrily and pushed the door open. The supreme private room is very spacious, almost 100 square meters, and the decoration inside is extremely luxurious. On the Italian leather sofa in the middle, a middle-aged man in a Tang suit is sitting there very comfortably. Behind him stood a row of big men in black suits, all tall and strong, with evil auras on their faces, surrounding him like stars holding the moon. On both sides of the sofa, for scantily clad women stood, serving the middle-aged man like an emperor. Seeing Mediterranean come in with a bruised nose and face, the middle-aged man's expression changed. Cousin, what's wrong with you? Brother Ninth, I just saw a woman outside. She was dressed like a bitch. She was obviously for sale and she had to pretend to be innocent. I flirted a bit and asked her how much a night would cost, and ended up slapping the woman in the mouth. Later, a few guys beat me up. One of them, Yang Su, said he would wait for me in the platinum private room. After listening to Mediterranean's words, the middle-aged man's expression darkened, and there was a strong murderous aura in his body. Someone dares to touch my cousin in my place. I am really impatient to live. Feeling his momentum, the four women next to him were so frightened that they didn't dare to make a sound. He turned to the side and said, Ah Bao, have you heard of this boy named Yang Su? A big man with a fierce face next to him took 2 steps forward and said with a respectful expression, back to Mr. Jiuye, I haven't heard of him. He should be a little bastard with no reputation. You take someone over there and call them over. I want to see who dares to touch my Ma Jiuye's cousin. It turns out that this middle-aged man is the famous Ma Jiuye in Jiangnan City, and his cousin with the Mediterranean hairstyle is from out of town. Originally, he wanted to entertain this relative and show off. This chapter is not finished, please turn the page. After looking at his current identity and status, he didn't expect that his cousin would be beaten in his own territory, which made him really angry. Yes, Master Jiu. Abeo agreed and walked out with a Mediterranean hairstyle and 4 big men in suits. In the platinum private room, Yang Su hugged Huang Xiaoli with one hand and held up a wine glass with the other. He said with a proud face, I just said that foreigner can't make any waves. If he hasn't done anything for such a long time, he must have peed on his butt. Ran. Niu Haotian said, yes, it will be his advantage if he doesn't come, but he will be unlucky if he comes. Tao Wei said, don't say I don't have any background, so what if I have one? At most I ask my dad to say hello to Master Ma Jiuye, no matter how big a person is, I can deal with it. Several people were talking loudly, when suddenly there was a bang, the door of the private room was kicked open from the outside, and Abeo and his men came in menacingly from the outside. Mediterranean pointed at Huang Xiaoli and shouted, this little bitch is the one who beat me. Take her back. I will kill her today. Abeo waved his hand and said to the bodyguard behind him, did you hear that? Take that woman away. What do you do? Do you know who I am? Tao Wei smashed the wine glass in his hand and walked over with great momentum, but as soon as he got there, he was kicked to the ground by a bodyguard in black. Niu Haotian and Yang Su stepped forward to help, but were beaten to the ground by the bodyguards with 3 punches and 2 kicks. The other 2 men in black suits stepped forward, grabbed Huang Xiaoli, and dragged her out of the private room. Young Master Yang, young Master Tao, please save me quickly. Huang Xiaoli was so frightened that she was screaming heartbreakingly. Don't worry, I'll call someone right now. Tao Wei took out his cell phone and was about to call his father. At this time, Abeo glanced at everyone and said with a stern expression, you all come here too, Master Jiu wants to see you. After saying that, he turned around and left without worrying that these people would run away. Tao Wei just took out his mobile phone, but he was dumbfounded and couldn't even press a button. The word Jiuye sounded to his ears like a bolt from the blue. In the entire Jiangnan city, Ma Jiuye was the only one who dared to call him Jiuye. Niu Haotian and Yang Su also realized this. The Mediterranean hair shape was related to Ma Jiuye, and now they were in big trouble. They had just beaten Ma Jiuye's people. Chapter 57 No one can touch my brother. You are listening at NovelsThe. Seeing that her best friend had been kidnapped, Yuding nervously said to Tao Wei and the others, hurry up and think of a way to rescue Xiaoli. The 3 people looked defeated. They had lost their high spirits and arrogance just now. They couldn't protect themselves if they offended Master Ma Jiuye, so how could they care about Huang Xiaoli? Seeing that none of the 3 people spoke, Yuding said angrily, you don't care, then I'll call the police. As she said that, she took out her cell phone and was about to call the police, but Tao Wei snatched the phone away and shouted, you dare to call the police about Master Ma Jiuye? Do you want to kill us? Yuding said angrily, Tao Wei, what are you going to do? You don't care about Xiaoli and you don't let me call the police. Are you just going to watch her being raped? The other party is Mr. Ma Jiuye. Do you know that calling the police will only kill us? At this moment, Tao Wei no longer cared about pretending to be his previous image, and shouted hysterically, it's all that bitch's fault. If she hadn't been wearing so little, how could she have brought us such trouble? You bastard! Yuding was extremely disappointed with him, if you don't save Xiaoli, I will. After saying that, she strode towards the direction of the supreme private room. Yuding, wait for me. Han Shui immediately took steps to catch up. Although he knew Ma Jiuye's reputation, the woman in front of him was his favorite. No matter whether there were mountains of swords and seas of fire ahead, he would follow her. All his good brothers were gone, and Bufan naturally followed behind. Tao Wei and the other 2 looked at each other, and finally followed helplessly. They were not worried about Yuding, but because of Ma Jiuye's majesty, they didn't even have the courage to escape. After several people entered the door, Shi Yuding shouted, "Let my friend go." Ma Jiuye stood up and ignored Shi Yuding. Instead, he glanced at several people with cold eyes and said in a cold voice, "Which of you beat my cousin just now, please stand up." The three of them, Tao Wei, had no choice but to take 2 steps forward, their legs trembling. "Master Jiu, this is really a misunderstanding, we don't know." "Kneel down, you have no right to stand and speak in front of me." Tao Wei Gang was about to explain, but was abruptly interrupted by Ma Jiuye. "Master Jiu, my dad is Tao Zijuan, can you please let me go for my dad's sake?" Tao Wei said this, but he didn't dare to hesitate in his movements. He knelt down with a plop. "This chapter is not finished, please turn the page." Land. Tao Zijuan. He's the only one who brings me wine, but he dares to ask for face in front of me. I give it to Ma Jiuye, how dare he ask for it? Tao Wei lowered his head and was so scared that he never dared to say another word. Niu Haotian bravely said, "Jiu Yi, my father is Niu Baokai from Hailong Hotel. Do you think you can?" Before he could finish speaking, Ma Jiuye raised his hand and slapped him on the face. "TMD, what qualifications does a hotel owner have to talk to me?" This time Niu Haotian also fell to his knees with a plop, losing the confidence of the young master before. Yang Su still held a trace of luck in his heart and said with a flattering face, "Master Jiu, my father is Yang Wu, who works for Su Delongtu in Xicheng. Su Yang. Even he himself doesn't dare to come to my place to make trouble. Besides, he is the son of a Ma Zai. Stop talking nonsense and kneel down." Under Ma Jiuye's power, Yang Su did not dare to hesitate and immediately knelt beside Niu Haotian. The 3 people who seemed to be the only ones in the world just now were kneeling side by side on the ground, not even qualified to speak. At this time, Ma Jiuye turned his attention to Yi Bufan and others. Although Shi Yuding was afraid and nervous, she gritted her teeth and said, "Let my friend go quickly, or I will call the police." Ma Jiuye smiled coldly, "The little girl is so ignorant, she even threatened to call the police to scare me." At this time, the lights in the private room were bright. Mediterranean could clearly see Shi Yuding's appearance, which was 10 times more beautiful than the scantily clad Huang Xiaoli. The guy said with a wicked smile, "Cousin, I also like this girl. Tonight how about it for me?" Ma Jiuye said indifferently, "It's just a woman, why care about 1 or 2, just take them if you want them." After saying that, he waved his hand, and the 2 bodyguards immediately walked towards Shi Yuding. Mediterranean smiled and said, "Thank you, cousin." Looking at the bodyguard in front of her, Shi Yuding shouted nervously, "What are you going to do? Don't come over." But as a woman, she had no ability to resist so many tall and strong men in black. At this moment, Han Shui took 2 steps forward and opened his arms to block Shi Yuding's body. "Stop, as long as I am here, none of you can touch her." The 2 bodyguards in black stopped, obviously waiting for Ma Jiuye's next instructions. At this time, Yi Bufan shouted to Tao Wei who was kneeling over there, "Master Tao, aren't you going to compete with Han Shui for the rain to stop? This chapter is not finished, please turn the page. Why don't you hurry up and show off now?" He is here to help his good brother today, so he naturally knows how to give Han Shui the greatest help. Seeing Master Ma Jiuye looking towards him, Tao Wei was so frightened that he trembled and shouted quickly, "Master Ma Jiuye, please don't misunderstand me. That woman is just an ordinary friend between us and we don't have a deep relationship. Whatever you want is fine." Seeing Tao Wei's cowardly look for fear of harming herself, a flash of deep disgust flashed in Shi Yuding's eyes. Compared to Han Shui who risked his life to stand in front of him, even a fool could see the difference between the 2 of them. Ma Jiuye turned his attention to Han Shui again and said in a cold voice, "Boy, no one can resist my order. I give you 2 choices, either get away or die." Han Shui's body was also trembling slightly. He was obviously very scared, but he still said firmly, "As long as I am here, no one can hurt you Ting. It's true that I won't shed tears until I see the coffin." A flash of disdain flashed in Ma Jiuye's eyes, "Break his limbs and throw them into the sea to feed the fish." The 2 bodyguards standing next to him agreed and immediately rushed towards Han Shui with their teeth and claws bared. Han Shui was just an ordinary person, and he had never even learned Sanda or Taekwondo. But in order to protect the woman he loved most, He could only grit his teeth and fight, closed his eyes, and punched out hard, but what surprised him was that the 2 punches did not touch anything, and there was no movement around him. When he opened his eyes again, he found that the 2 big men, who were 1.9 meters tall, had flown out and fell 7 or 8 meters away. He looked at his 2 fists in surprise. When did he have special powers? This is impossible. At this time, a clear voice sounded beside him, "As long as I am here, no one can touch my brother." That he turned around and saw Yi Bufan standing beside him calmly. "Third brother, run away, what's going on here has nothing to do with you." Yi Bufan said calmly, "What are you talking about? You are my brother, and your business is my business." Seeing that his 2 men were easily beaten away, Master Ma Jiuye's face instantly darkened. He looked at Yi Bufan with cold eyes and said, "It turns out that I am still a trainer, but I, Ma Jiuye, am not just any cat or dog. You can ride on top of it. Ah Bao, teach this boy a lesson." Chapter 58, Kneeling for a long time and unable to stand up. You are listening at NovelsThe. I know, Master Jiuye. With a promise, Bao walked towards Yi Bufan, flexing his muscles as he walked, cracking his 10 knuckles, showing off his muscles like steel poured into iron. Seeing him take action, excitement flashed across the faces of the bodyguards in black next to him. Bao was a gangster boxing champion who once dominated Southeast Asia. Not only was he good at fighting, he was also ruthless in his attacks. People familiar with him knew that his attacks were bound to draw blood. The opponent would either die or be injured, otherwise he would never stop. It was by chance that Ma Jiuye saw Bao's skills, so he paid a lot of money to take him into his hands. Since Bao came to China, Ma Jiuye has never taken action personally. It can be said that half of Ma Jiuye's current power was brought down by Bao himself. Feeling the murderous aura on Bao, Han Shui said nervously, "Lao San, I'll block him first, you run away." "Don't worry, it's just a lookalike that's worthless." Yi Bufan said, pulling Han Shui behind him and walking toward Bao. "The opponent looks extremely cruel, but in fact, he has not even stepped into the threshold of a yellow-level warrior. How can he put this kind of thing in his eyes? Boy, you're looking for fucking death." Seeing that the pretty boy was ignoring him, Bao shouted angrily, stretched out his hand and grabbed Yi Bufan's skull with a chokehold. He comes from a black boxing background, and his moves are not flashy, but they are real skills developed in life and death fights, and his moves are deadly. "Get out of here." Under Yi Bufan's consciousness, Bao's moves that were as fast as lightning in the eyes of others were as slow as a snail. He raised his leg and kicked the opponent's lower abdomen, sending the opponent flying more than 10 meters, directly hitting the wall of the private room, and then fell down next to Tao Wei with a thud. This kick was extremely hard, as strong as Bao. After struggling for a few times, he still couldn't get up from the ground. He lay there with a face full of pain. Tao Wei and the other 3 were startled, but they still knelt there, not daring to move. Seeing the scene in front of him, Han Shui was so shocked that he almost jumped up and shouted, "I'll choke you, third brother, did you take Dolly pill? I've never seen you so powerful before." During the 3 years of contact, Yi Bufan gave him the impression that he was weak and polite. He never thought that his good brother would turn out to be a master. Seeing that his strongest Bao was defeated by the opponent with 1 move, Ma Jiuye's expression became extremely serious. He looked at Yi Bu. "This chapter is not finished, please turn the page." Fan said, "Boy, your skills are really good. I'll give you a chance. As long as you can be my subordinate, let's forget about today's matters. I will forget all the blame for these people. How about that?" After he said this, the expressions of the people around him changed. You must know that Ma Jiuye is famous for his revenge. To make such a big concession today seems to be because of the young man's skills. After finishing speaking, he looked at Yi Bufan calmly. He was the leader of the 4 leaders in Jiangnan City, and the young man in front of him would definitely not refuse, but what I didn't expect was that Yi Bufan just smiled disdainfully, his eyes full of ridicule. "Let me be your subordinate, are you worthy?" Ma Jiuye said with a gloomy expression, "Boy, it seems that you are going to fight me to the end. Tell me who you are." Yi Bufan. After hearing these 3 words, Ma Jiuye's expression changed again. "So it was you. The person who injured my men in the village in the city was your boy. Yi Bufan said calmly, yes, it's me. Today we just settled the old and new accounts together. Ma Jiuye said, boy, don't think that just because you have some relationship with the He family, you can do whatever you want. In Jiangnan City, no one can mess with me, Ma Jiuye. Yi Bufan said, you are overthinking. I always rely on myself to do things. I don't need to rely on anyone. Ma Jiuye said with a sinister look, originally, for the sake of the He family, I wanted you to live a few more days. Since you insist on seeking death, I will send you on your way now. After saying that, he waved to the bodyguard behind him, come with me. Whoever kills him will be rewarded 1 million, these bodyguards are not ordinary people. They have experienced hundreds of battles and received special training. They are definitely masters who are worth 10, in his opinion. Even if Yi Bufan could defeat one Abeo, he would never be able to defeat so many of his subordinates. Facts have proved that he was wrong. Although these people tried their best, the gap in skill was too big, and basically no one could be an enemy. In just a few dozen seconds, the more than 20 bodyguards in black were all beaten to the ground, and no one could stand up again. Boy, you really surprised me. Ma Jiuye reached out and took off his outer clothes, revealing his muscular upper body. He made a gesture and said, I can't even remember how many years I haven't taken action. It's an honor for you to die in my hands. Yi Bufan smiled slightly, you are overthinking and want to kill me, but you are still far away. He is now a master in the foundation building stage. Just now, this chapter is not finished, please turn the page. He didn't even use 1/10 of his strength to deal with those bodyguards. Although the Ma Jiuye in front of him is an entry-level martial artist, he is still in the early stage of the Huang level. Even if he does not use magic, this kind of skill cannot pose any threat to him. Yi Bufan can see through Ma Jiuye's cultivation, but Ma Jiuye does not have this ability. He shouted loudly, raised his hand and punched Yi Bufan in the face. There is an old saying in Chinese martial arts circles about boxing. If you don't go out in Tai Chi for 10 years, you will kill people after a year of practicing Tai Chi. This shows the ferocity of boxing. Ma Jiuye relied on this set of boxing techniques to beat countless opponents to the point of breaking their bones and muscles, and achieved his reputation today. Today, he showed his best skills when he made a move, facing the extremely fierce punch. Yi Bufan didn't even try to dodge. He raised his hand and punched out. The two fists collided together, and there was a loud bang. Ma Jiuye flew back more than 10 meters like a kite with its string broken, and hit the wall behind him with a bang. The place where he fell was also coincidental. He happened to land next to Ah Bao, very close to Tao Wei and the others. The failure of one move shocked everyone. You must know that Ma Jiuye was famous before. No one in the underground world of Jiangnan can be his opponent. Mediterranean standing next to him was completely dumbfounded. In the entire private room, he was the only man standing beside them. Yi Bufan glanced at him, let me go quickly. Oh. Mediterranean, who was already frightened, quickly let go of Huang Xiaoli's hand. Huang Xiaoli felt like she was having a nightmare. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. She didn't expect that the person who saved her in the end was not Tao Wei's boastful young masters, but this inconspicuous man in front of her. Yi Bufan walked up to Tao Wei and the others, looked at them jokingly and said, young masters, are you used to kneeling? Now that these people have been beaten down by me, why don't you get up and take revenge? Surprisingly, Tao Wei did not stand up, but instead shouted, boy, you caused a big trouble today. You beat Master Ma Jiuye. You will definitely not be able to survive in Jiangnan City in the future. Not only him, but Niu Haotian and Yang Su next to him didn't have the courage to stand up at all, and they knelt there straight. There was a trace of ridicule on Yi Bufan's face. I've been kneeling for so long that I can't stand up. As a man, you don't dare to fart even if the woman you want to chase is snatched away. Now everyone has been knocked down by me, and you don't even have the courage to stand up. If I were you, I would piss myself to death. Chapter 59 Ma Jiuye's Backstage. You are listening at NovelsThe. Tao Wei's old face turned the color of pig liver, and he said angrily, what do you know? This is Master Ma Jiuye. Yi Bufan said disdainfully, isn't he just a big gangster? He scared you into being like this bear. At this time, Master Ma Jiuye got up from the ground, raised his hand to wipe away the blood that overflowed from the corner of his mouth, and said with a sinister expression, "Boy, my skills are indeed good, but I tell you, you can't offend the power behind me, Ma Jiuye. It's too late to kneel down to me now, otherwise you and your friends will die. There's someone behind this, right?" Bufan sneered, "Then don't say I won't give you a chance, call now and find all the people you can find." He wanted to have a complete break with Master Ma Jiuye today, and he had to deal with this guy, otherwise his relatives and friends would be in trouble in the future, so he didn't choose to leave, but pulled up a chair and sat directly next to it. "Boy, if you have the guts, just wait for me." Ma Jiuye said as he took out his cell phone and dialed a phone number. After the call was connected, a deep voice came from the other side, "Xiaojiu, what's the matter so late?" Although they were separated by the phone, Ma Jiuye's expression instantly became extremely respectful. "Boss, something happened here at Yueyang. I was hit by a kid here." The person on the phone said dissatisfiedly, "You can't handle such a small matter." Ma Jiuye said, "Boss, his skills are so good that none of us are opponents. And he is still waiting here, asking you to come over. A bunch of useless things. Wait, I'll be there right away." After saying that, he hung up the phone with a snap. Ma Jiuye turned around and said with a sinister expression, "Boy, let me tell you, let alone the He family, even the King of Heaven and I can't save you this time." Bufan raised his leg and kicked him to the ground. "From now on, you are not qualified to stand and talk to me. Boy, you are looking for death." Ma Jiuye's old face was flushed with blood, as if it could drip blood at any time. He had been in the underground world of Jiangnan for so many years, when had he ever been bullied like this? Bufan said in a cold voice, "Are you going to kneel or not? If you don't kneel, I will destroy you now." If he hadn't been present today, the fate of Han Shui and others could be imagined. He would not be polite at all to people who threaten his friends. This chapter is not finished, please turn the page. Although Ma Jiuye gritted his teeth with hatred, in order to preserve his lifelong cultivation, he could only hold back the shame in his heart and knelt upright next to Tao Wei and others. Just now he asked Tao Wei and others to kneel down and talk, and now he has fallen to this point. However, people had to bow their heads under the eaves. Facing such a domineering young man, he could only endure it for the time being. He secretly felt cruel in his heart, waiting for his boss to come. He must make sure that this kid can't live without death. Seeing Ma Jiuye, whom they admired so much, kneeling with them, Tao Wei and the others had mixed feelings. They have never taken Bufan, a poor boy, seriously, but just now they knelt down to Ma Jiuye, and now Ma Jiuye knelt down to Bufan again. This gap made them feel an indescribable sense of loss. "Boy, don't be complacent. Let's see how Master Ma Jiuye will deal with you when his backer comes." Although the three people did not speak, they all thought this way in their hearts. It seemed that only by Ma Jiuye destroying Bufan could they regain some face and feel better. Although he had seen Bufan's skills, Han Shui was still a little worried, so he came to him and whispered in his ear, "Lao San, I heard that the background behind Master Ma Jiuye is extremely powerful. A good man doesn't suffer immediate losses, so let's leave here first. I'll let my dad think of a solution later." Bufan knew that today's matter must be resolved, otherwise it will cause unnecessary trouble to his relatives and friends in the future. He said, "Second brother, why don't you take your sister-in-law and leave first? I can be here alone." "How can that be done? We are brothers who share weal and woe. How can I leave you here alone?" Han Shui turned around and said to Shi Yuding, "Yuding, you go back first. I will come back to you after the matter is settled." Shi Yuding said in a firm tone, "How can that be done? We will bear the same burden together. If we have to die together, I can't leave alone." Bufan burst into laughter. "Why do you think it's like a separation between life and death? Don't worry, nothing will happen to you as long as I'm here." Han Shui and Shi Yuding both nodded. They did not completely believe Bufan's words, but with the attitude of sharing the joys and sorrows, they would stay no matter what, but Huang Xiaoli obviously didn't think so. She stepped forward and said, "Yuding, if you don't leave, I'll leave first." Well, you go back first. A look of disappointment flashed in Shi Yuding's eyes, but she didn't say anything. This chapter is not finished, please turn the page. Wang Xiaoli ran out of the private room as if running away without saying a word. Han Shui spat and said, what the hell? Today's trouble was entirely caused by Huang Xiaoli. As a result, she was more troubled than anyone else, but she ran faster than anyone else. Yi Bufan didn't care at all. Huang Xiaoli was just a snobbish woman, and he didn't expect her to do anything. He said to Shi Yuding, sister-in-law, I heard that you are a talented girl from the finance department of Jiangnan University. Have you found a good place now? Hearing Yi Bufan call her sister-in-law, Shi Yuding's cheeks blushed slightly, but she didn't say anything. Instead, she reached out and held Han Shui's hand. After what happened just now, she already knew how to choose. Don't listen to Han Shui's nonsense. How can I be considered a talented woman? She said. The employment situation for college students is getting more and more difficult now. I haven't found a suitable job yet. Great, can you come over and help me? Yi Bufan briefly introduced the situation of Zui Jiangnan restaurant, and then said, I don't know how to manage a restaurant, and the current manager is also temporary. It would be best for my sister-in-law to come over and help me. Of course that's good. Shi Yuding said hesitantly, but I just graduated, so it's not appropriate to be the general manager directly. Otherwise, I should start from the bottom. Yi Bufan said, I believe in my second brother's vision. The person he chooses will definitely be right. You can just take over the entire restaurant. When Shi Yuding took the initiative to hold hands, Han Shui felt happy and said, Lao San, you are so right. Let alone a restaurant, it is a group company. Yuding can take care of it for you. Otherwise, what else? Be my wife. Shi Yuding glared at him fiercely, what nonsense are you talking about? Who is your wife? Han Shui said with a smile, isn't this just a matter of time? At this moment, there was a rush of footsteps outside, and then dozens of men in black rushed into the private room. Although these people are all wearing traditional martial arts uniforms, they exude extremely powerful power, and any one of them is not inferior to a Bao's level. Seeing the reinforcements coming, Ma Jiuye became excited. The time for his revenge had finally arrived. Even Tao Wei and others felt a throb in their hearts. They could accept Ma Jiuye's bullying, but they couldn't accept being stepped on by Yi Bufan. Therefore, they all hoped that Ma Jiuye's backstage boss will teach Yi Bufan a lesson. Chapter 60 Boss Tang Feng. You are listening at NovelsThe. After the men in black entered the door, they quickly separated to both sides, leaving a passage in the middle, and then a middle-aged man walked in slowly. This man was wearing a large windbreaker, big sunglasses on his face, a slicked-back haircut, and a cigar in his mouth. He exuded a powerful aura and looked like a big boss. Tao Wei and others were filled with shock and admiration. They had long heard that Ma Jiuye had a mysterious and powerful backer, but they had not seen him for so many years. Today, he saw that he was really powerful. At the same time, I was secretly glad that I and others had made the right choice before. That kid was definitely doomed now. In this society, it is useless to rely solely on good skills. No matter how powerful you are, if you can fight 10 people, can you still fight 100 people? No matter how skilled you are, can you still use powerful overheating weapons? Seeing the middle-aged man entering the door, Ma Jiuye seemed to have seen a savior. The previous nervousness and humiliation were swept away. He jumped up from the ground, pointed at Yi Bufan and shouted, Boss, this guy is the one who hit us. Place. After seeing Yi Bufan, the middle-aged man suddenly quickened his pace, came closer and shouted sternly, kneel down. Ma Jiuye looked proud and shouted, Boy, did you hear that? Kneel down quickly for our boss, otherwise. Before he could finish speaking, the middle-aged man shouted sharply again, What about you? Kneel down quickly. If Dr. Yi doesn't let you get up today, you will kneel down until you die. Ah. Ma Jiuye looked confused. He was looking forward to the stars and the moon, and finally hoped for reinforcements. Why did he kneel down? Boss, did you make a mistake? This guy ruined our place. but with an angry look on his face, the middle-aged man raised his hand and slapped Master Ma Jiuye on the face, then kicked him to the ground and cursed in annoyance. UF*CK, don't you understand if I ask you to kneel down? I understand. Although Ma Jiuye was still in a state of confusion, he figured out one thing. The boss was not wrong and he really wanted to kneel down. Although he was a powerful boss before, he didn't dare to hesitate at this moment because everything he had was given by the man in front of him. Without the backing boss, he would be nothing now, and the grass on his grave would probably be as tall as a person. He plopped down on the ground again, more respectfully and upright than before. Everyone else looked confused and didn't know what was happening. This chapter is not finished. Please turn the page. What, including Han Shui, who had just quietly picked up a wine bottle and was ready to have a big fight, but he didn't expect it to be like this. However, Bufan had already recognized the middle-aged man. It was Feng from the Tang family. When he just treated Mr. Tang, he looked like a filial son and a virtuous grandson. Unexpectedly, he turned into a famous boss in the south of the Yangtze River in the blink of an eye. What he doesn't know is that the Tang family, who started out as a martial artist, has always been the real ruler of the underground world in Jiangnan. The so-called 4 dragon heads are all dogs raised by the Tang family. If anyone in the Tang family is unhappy, these people can be replaced at any time. At this moment, cold sweat broke out on Feng's forehead. Mr. Tang's recovery from his serious illness made him feel very good. After receiving a call from Master Ma Jiuye, he hurried over with his people. Unexpectedly, the other party turned out to be Bufan. Just now, I was discussing with my father how to please divine Dr. Yi and use his magical methods to get me into the ranks of Xian-level warriors. I didn't expect that my subordinates would cause such a big trouble. He respectfully walked up to Bufan and said with a smile on his face, Mr. Yi, I'm really sorry. My subordinates don't have eyes, so I offended you, but don't worry, I will definitely satisfy you. As long as you say a word, I will immediately let him sink into the sea to feed the fish. As soon as he said these words, the calm mood of everyone present was once again shocked to the top of the wave. Ma Jiuye's face turned pale, and he no longer had the calmness and arrogance of the previous boss. Although he was just a dog raised by the Tang family, he was also the dog that knew how to please his master and could bring him the most benefits. In the past, no matter what kind of big shot he offended, the Tang family would stand firmly behind him and support him, but in front of this young man, Feng chose to sacrifice himself without hesitation. Who is this young man? How much background does this need to make the Tang family bow their heads and surrender? Relying on the He family alone is definitely not enough, because the status of the Tang family is not inferior to the He family at all, and judging from Feng's appearance, it is completely respectful from the bottom of his heart. Thinking of this, he felt a chill in his heart. What big shot had he offended? Could it be that I am really going to be sunk to the bottom of the sea today? He didn't think Feng's words were a joke. The 3 of them, Tao Wei, were completely stunned as they knelt there, even forgetting the pain caused by the congestion in their knees. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I had never seen it before. This chapter is not finished. Please turn the page. The poor boy who stood up suddenly stood at a height that they could only look up to. They can only kneel like grandchildren in front of Master Ma Jiuye, and now Master Ma Jiuye's masters are so respectful to others. The difference between one and the other is so big that they can look up to them for a lifetime. At this time, Shi Yuding was also full of curiosity. What is the origin of this friend Han Shui? First she showed extraordinary attainments at the piano, then she showed her astonishing skills, and now she was overwhelming a big boss, which was simply beyond her imagination. Bufan glanced at Feng, then at Ma Jiuye who was lying on the ground, and said calmly, since he is yours, let's forget about today's matter. Seeing that he was not angry because of the offense of his subordinates, Feng finally breathed a sigh of relief. His dream of being a Xian-level warrior was not shattered after all. I thank the doctor for the blind thing. Feng turned around and kicked Master Ma Jiuye again. You blind thing, even the old man is very respectful to divine Dr. Yi, but you dare to offend me. The next time I chop you into pieces, why don't you apologize to Dr. Yi immediately? After hearing this, the resentment and unwillingness in Master Ma Jiuye's heart disappeared completely. He knew very well what kind of person the old man of the Tang family was. He couldn't afford to offend someone who even respected the old man. People have such a mentality. If the other party's status is so high that people can only look up to him, then he will not even have the mentality of revenge, and only respect and surrender will be left. Divine Dr. Yi, I'm sorry. It was I, Ma Jiuye, who blinded the dog's eyes. I offended Divine Dr. Yi, and I asked Divine Dr. Yi to punish me. Yi Bufan waved his hand and said, forget it, get up. Those who don't know what happened today are not to blame, and I won't hold them accountable. But remember, don't charge any more protection fees for the village in the city in the future. Tang Feng scolded, you incompetent thing, did you hear what Dr. Yi said? You will never be allowed to do such dirty things again in the future. I heard it, I heard it. From now on, I guarantee that no one in the urban village will collect protection fees again. Ma Jiuye said continuously, then thanked Yi Bufan, and then stood up from the ground. The traders in the urban village didn't know it, but Yi Bufan's words completely eliminated the nightmare that had plagued them for many years. Ma Jiuye glanced at Tao Wei and the three people kneeling next to them, and asked respectfully, Dr. Yi, how should we deal with these people?